Good morning, students. This is Mukesh Chauhan. I am going to present my first video for the students of class 9. I have taken the book which is Moments and chapter number 4. Let me tell you, students, as the CBSE has decided to reduce the syllabus by 30% from each class, in the same consequence from this story, the third lesson, that is Ishwaran the storyteller, is reduced. Therefore, I am going to present my first video from chapter number 4, that is in the Kingdom of Fools. You will get 2 videos for this whole story. It won't be possible for me to complete the whole story in single video. Therefore, you will get 2 videos. And at the end of my second video, I will give you some home assignment, as I have given in my previous videos. Hope you will be completing them and will also complete for this story. Students, let me tell you a brief summary of the story. The story is based on anecdote which is purely based on Indian atmosphere. Actually, this is not applicable only for Indian atmosphere, this is applicable for the human life or the human civilization. Students, in this story, the narrator has tried to show us the importance of self-satisfaction. He has tried to give us a lesson that one should not be the victim of greed. But it is human nature, whenever we see something which is of our use and we are getting it with no cost, definitely we feel attracted towards it. We do not know what consequences will come to us in future. We forget about it and feel ourselves attracted towards it. The same happens in the story. So let us go through the story. I will read the whole story line by line and explain it to you, and hope you will enjoy it and understand it. So let us proceed to the story. In the Kingdom of Fools, both the king and the ministers were idiots. They were quite fool. The system of ruling was quite different. They didn't want to run things like the other kings. So they decided to change the day into night and night into day. They ordered everyone that they should be awake at night and they will till their fields in the night. They will do everything which they used to do during day. Now they will do all these things during night. They will run their business only it is dark. When it is dark, they will run their shops. Market will be opened when it is night. And the people will roam here and there for their needs only during night. The king also ordered, if anyone disobeyed the order of the king, will be punished with death. Therefore, because of the fear of the king, the people did as they were told about it. Because of the fear of death, the king and the ministers were quite happy, because they were thinking that they had got success, and they were happy on the success of their project. But one day, this kingdom was visited by a guru along with his disciple. They both arrived at the gate of the city, and they saw that the city was quite beautiful. It was quite day and the light was clear, sun was there, but nobody was in the street. They could not find anyone in the street. Even the animals, they were not found in the streets roaming here and there. There was no one. Everyone was asleep. Not a single person was in the streets. Even the cattle, they were taught to sleep by day. The two strangers were quite surprised to see this kind of situation in the whole city, in the whole kingdom. They wandered in the whole kingdom from morning till evening, but they could not find anyone whom they can talk, whom they can interrogate about the circumstances. Since they were traveling in the whole town since morning, they were now quite hungry, and they became tired, exhausted. Now the shops were open. When it became dark, when it became evening, the people opened their shops. Farmers went for tilling the land. Animals were also given something to eat. Means, when they observed this odd thing, they felt quite surprised. One more thing was quite surprising. When they purchased grocery for preparing their meals, since they were roaming here and there from morning till evening, therefore both were quite hungry. So as soon as the market opened, they purchased the grocery for preparing their food. When they were buying this ration for themselves, they found another thing surprising. It was that everything in the market was available only for the same price, that was 1 dudu. Dudu is a kind of unit. As we count the currency money nowadays in terms of rupee, similarly in the kingdom, the money was counted as dudu. So everything was available with 1 dudu. Whether you purchase 1 kg of rice, you will have to pay 1 dudu. Whether you purchase 1 kg of sugar, you will have to pay 1 dudu. Or you are buying 1 kg of ghee, you will have to pay only 1 dudu. So everything was available with 1 dudu. When the Guru and his disciples saw this, they felt quite surprised. Since the Guru was an intellectual person, his disciple was quite happy seeing it that everything was available so cheap with 1 dudu only. So the disciple was thinking that he will stay there for a longer period of time. But the Guru was of different opinion. He thought that this kingdom is of fools. He was thinking, while the disciple was cooking food, the Guru was thinking, and he realized that this kingdom was of fools. He thought that this won't be a good idea for them to stay there. He thought that this place is not for them. Therefore he said to his disciple, he said that they must leave from there. The Guru said that this place is not good for them. So he said, let us go from here. But his disciple did not want to leave from there. Since everything was cheap, All he wanted was good and cheap. So he was not in a mood to change from there. Guru said. At this, Guru tried to convince his disciple, and he said that they all are fools. This system will not long last, and you cannot say what they will do with you the next. Means in this way, the king will not be able to rule it for a longer period of time, and he will not be able to predict what the king's order will come. Therefore, this is not a good place, this is not a suitable place for us. We must leave from here as soon as possible. But the disciple did not listen his Guru's wisdom, his Guru's advice. He did not listen. He wanted to stay there. So Guru finally gave up. He permitted to stay him there, and he decided that he will not stay there. He went away from there. Before leaving, he said, "Do what you want, I am going." And after saying it, he left from there. The disciple stayed on there. He continued staying there since he was getting everything so cheap, quality food there at the cheaper price. So he stayed there. He ate whatever he liked. He ate bananas, he ate ghee, rice, wheat, and everything, whatever he liked. Therefore, he grew fat. He became just like a scared bull. Means he became healthy, fatty, obese. Day passed. Likewise, the king was happy that he was getting success in his project. Ministers were happy because they thought that their king is happy at their success. And the disciple was happy because he was getting everything so cheap. In this way, the system was going on in the whole kingdom. But one bright day, a thief broke into a merchant's house. When he was entering into the house, he broke the wall, he made a hole into the wall and entered into the house. And while he was carrying the goods which he took from the merchant's house, when he was coming out, the wall fell over his head and the thief died. He died on spot. Now, his brother, he came to the king and he complained against the person, against the owner of the house. He requested the king, he said, "O king, my brother was pursuing his business. O king, my brother was doing his trade." You see how cleverly the narrator has used these words. He is calling the act of thievery as the trade. The man said that my brother was doing his trade. While he was doing his trade, the wall of this man's house fell over his head and he died. Therefore, he blamed the merchant for the death of his brother. The king, who was listening, he listened peacefully. He listened whatever the brother said. After listening, he came to a decision and told his ministers to call the merchant. As the brother was requesting again and again that the merchant should be punished because the merchant should have made the quality wall, the strong wall, which he did not. Therefore, he is responsible for the death of my brother. Directly or indirectly, he is the murderer of my brother. Since it is the duty of every king to listen the appellant and think over his request, so the king also did the same. He listened him and ordered his ministers to call the merchant. The king also assured the brother for the justice. He told him that the justice will be done and assured not to worry. When the merchant came into the court, the king asked the merchant, when the person was pursuing his trade, was he at his home? He asked, were you there when his brother was pursuing his trade? The merchant said, yes, my lord, I was there. He said, this man's brother broke into my house, and while he was returning back with the goods, the wall fell over his head and he died. So the king said that this man is requesting, this man is asking me to punish you. Your wall killed this man's brother, so in this way you have murdered a man and I have to punish you. I have to punish you with death sentence. At this the merchant requested the king, O Lord, he said, I didn't put the wall. He said, I am not the man who constructed this wall. It is someone else who constructed. Although I am the owner of the house, but the wall was constructed by someone else. He told the king, he said, O king, this wall was constructed in my father's time. And he also told the man who constructed the wall. He said, I know the man where he lives. He lives nearby his house. The king listened to the merchant and thought for a moment and thought that this might be correct. Therefore, he ordered his messengers to call the mason. So the merchant was requesting the king that the wall was constructed by his father, and he also told the person who constructed the wall. The king ordered to call the person or to call the mason who constructed the wall. When he was called into the court, the mason came into the court in front of the king and he told the king, yes, my lord, I did. He said that yes, it was he who constructed the wall. What kind of a wall is this that you built? It has fallen on a poor man and killed him. You have murdered him. We have to punish you by death. The king told the mason that he had constructed a poor wall which fell over the head of a thief and it had killed him. Therefore, he is guilty of killing a man. He is a murderer and the king has to punish him with death sentence. When the mason came to know that the king is going to punish him with death sentence, he requested the king and asked him not to execute him order of punishing him with death sentence before listening him. At this, he told the king that it is not he who is responsible for preparing the improper wall. He told, while he was working on the wall, a dancing girl was passing from there again and again. Therefore, he could not focus over his work. He got distracted, because of which he could not prepare a quality wall. So it is not his fault, it is the fault of that girl who was passing from there again and again, jingling her anklets. And the sound of this anklet disturbed him. Therefore, the girl is directly responsible for the murder. So he should be given relief from the death sentence, and the girl should be given the same sentence. The king listened him and thought for a moment and said, "You are right. The girl should be called into the court." He said, "The case is deepening. The case is becoming more complicated. Therefore, it requires thinking over it. It requires a time." He thought and said, "Let the dancing girl be called into the court." He ordered his messengers to bring that dancing girl into the court. The girl, who was very young at that time, was now an old lady. So this old lady was brought into the court. When she came, she said, "Yes, my lord, I remember it very well." The girl accepted it and told the king that she remembers when she was very young and passing from there again and again. She also told why she was passing from there again and again. The king said, "So you did walk up and down with your anklets jingling? You were young and you distracted him, so he built a bad wall. It had fallen on a poor burglar and killed him. So you have killed an innocent man. You will have to be punished." The king told the dancing girl that when she was very young, since she was young and passing from there, jingling her anklets, listening the sound or the music of her anklets, the mason could not construct a proper wall, and the wall fell over a burglar, a man who entered into the merchant's house. While he was coming out of the house, the wall fell over his head and he died. In this way, you have committed a murder. So you are responsible, and king told him that he will have to punish her for the murder of an innocent man. The girl thought for a moment and said, "My lord, wait. I know why I was walking up and down the street." The girl told that she was not walking up and down with the purpose of distracting that bricklayer, to distract that mason. She told why she was taking round again and again there. She said, "I had given some gold to the goldsmith to make some jewelry for me. He was a lazy scoundrel. He made so many excuses. He said he would give it to me now and then. he would give it then, and so on all day. He made me walk up and down to the house a dozen times. The girl told that it was not she who was taking round intentionally. It was because of the goldsmith whom he gave some gold to prepare jewelry. And the goldsmith was making her round again and again. He was saying, I will give you now, I will give you then. Means he was making excuses. Because of which she was forced to take round. She came to the goldsmith about a dozen of times. The king listened to the girl and thought for a moment, and he was thinking that perhaps this girl is not responsible for this. So he thought that this goldsmith should be called. Poor thing. She is absolutely right, thought the king, weighing the evidences. When the king tried to balance the proofs, he thought that this girl is really innocent. She has no hand in the murder of this thief. He thought that she cannot be punished. We have got the real culprit at last. Get the goldsmith wherever he is hiding at once. He said that this girl is not responsible for the murder. It is goldsmith who is responsible. In this way, we have got the real victim. He ordered his men to go and find the goldsmith. He told his men wherever the goldsmith is, he should be brought into the court before him. So the king's bailiff searched for the goldsmith. The king's messengers were roaming here and there in search of the goldsmith. Finally, they got him. They found that he was hiding in a corner of his shop when he heard the accusation against him. When the goldsmith heard about the accusation, he hid himself into the corner of his shop. But how can he escape himself from the approach of the messengers, since he was living in the same kingdom? The messengers got hold of him. When they were bringing him to the court in front of the king, the goldsmith was also knitting his own story. Till now we have seen whosoever was caught, everyone was having his own story. Similarly, the goldsmith was also having his own story to tell. He came into the court, he appeared in front of the king, and he said to the king, "Oh my lord, I am a poor goldsmith. It's true, I made this dancer come many times to my door. I gave her excuses because I could not finish making the jewelry before I finished the rich merchant's orders." The goldsmith said, "O king, I accepted that I made this dancing girl take rounds of my house dozen of times, but I would also like to tell you that this was because of the merchant whose jewelry I was preparing. Since the merchant was forcing me to prepare his jewelry, therefore, for preparing his jewelry first, I was forced to give excuses to this dancing girl. Therefore, I have no hand in it at all. I am not responsible for this. It is the responsibility of that merchant whose jewelry I was preparing." He said the merchant was having bedding in his house since he was quite rich, and you know how rich people are impatient. Here again the narrator has tried to expose the quality of rich. This is the purpose of literature, that without letting know, they expose everything. It is we whose responsibility is to analyze, whose responsibility is to find out the effect. So I am telling you here, the narrator is taking this responsibility. He is trying to put out one characteristic or the quality of the rich people who live in our society. We have also seen in practically that the rich are never having patience. They want their work first. They want to get it finished first. You might have observed in your practical life also. So similarly, the goldsmith was forcing the goldsmith to prepare his jewelry first because he was having bedding in his house. So as a result, he could not prepare the jewelry of this dancing girl. If he could not prepare the jewelry of the dancing girl was taking round again and again. And he came there about a dozen of times. Because of his movement, the mason got distracted, and because of this distraction, he constructed a improper or poor wall which fell over the head of a thief who died. The king thought for a moment, and he asked, "Who is this rich merchant who kept you from finishing this poor man's jewelry?" Made her walk up and down, which distracted this bricklayer, which made a masons of his wall. Now the king asked about the merchant who forced the goldsmith not to prepare her jewelry. The goldsmith named the merchant, and he was none other than the original owner of the house whose wall had fallen. When the goldsmith told the name of the merchant, it was none but the same merchant whose wall fell over the head of the thief. The king thought for a moment, and he said that the merchant should be called into the court again. His messengers went into the town and got hold of the merchant and called into the court. When he appeared into the court in front of the king, he told the same answer, that it was not he who constructed the wall. It was his father who constructed the wall. At this, the